When it comes to paintball, there's a few things you need: a gun, tank, hopper, and a mask. Well, I guess you actually do need paintballs if you need paintballs or you're not playing paintball, but there's nothing that ruins your day like a bad mask. So let's talk about what makes a mask worth buying, and some good options in that budget $50-ish price. And then we're gonna go to the mid-tier, that's stuff about $100 and maybe a little bit cheaper. And then we're gonna jump right to that top highest end tier paintball mask. And the last time I did a video like this, I actually chose the Empire Helix as a good budget mask. It's still good, but since then the HK Army Hostile has been released, and it just has many more features that make it quite a bit better than that Helix. Firstly, the ventilation is the most important thing to me when I'm picking out a mask, and the Hostile is the best at this value or budget price. Some of the masks to come are going to be better though, but this Hostile is pretty good. It has fairly large holes and quite a few of them. You can just kind of see it when we compare it to the Helix, that this Hostile is going to have quite a bit more ventilation. You want that mask to have as much openness as possible to be able to expel that hot air and keep you cooler. This just allows you to breathe a lot of fresh air, and it also prevents the lens from fogging up. Masks that have great ventilation like this just make playing much more enjoyable, and like I said, it's the most important factor to me when I'm buying a mask. The Hostile also comes with a thermal lens, which is really essential for reducing fogging. That thermal lens consists of two lenses. There's an outer lens and an inner one separated by a piece of foam. That design creates an air gap in between those lenses, keeping that hot air on the inside, and then it's separating the cool air on the outside, which results in fogging being greatly reduced. And when it comes to comfort, that Hostile mask is decent. I mean, it's more comfortable than some of the other masks in this price range, but it's, not amazing. And comfort's one of those things that's kind of hard to describe, and the Hostile's hardness is one of the reasons why it's not one of the most comfortable options. That rigid plastic, while beneficial when you're getting shot in the face, it just provides maybe a little bit more protection. Masks in the higher end price that are a little bit more pliable and rubbery kind of result in fewer pressure points and just kind of fit around your head a little bit better. And while I don't really notice any pressure points or really bad things about the Hostile, it's definitely going to be more likely with one of these more rigid masks. The Hostile's also big. I mean, it's just big, which can be a good and a bad thing. I mean, most of these inexpensive masks are aimed at newer players, and many of them really appreciate that added protection of the larger masks. The Hostile's front chin section will provide a little bit more protection than some of the other masks available. But due to that larger size, it can kind of get in the way, and you can kind of see how I actually bump the mask on my tank sometimes. It's just big. And you're also getting some features that really aren't normally found on these lower end masks, like that quick change foam, so you can just take off the foam and clean it really easy. Most of the cheaper masks, have glued in foam. And you're also getting a quick change lens system. So kind of just like that foam, just removing the lens and taking the lens out, it's just much easier. On some of the lower end masks, you kind of got to pry stuff apart or even use tools to get those lenses out. So having that quick change lens, it's really handy. Make sure to look below for all the masks we talk about in this video. I'm going to put links in the description so you can just quickly find them. And when we jump up to that mid-range category, around $100, there are many more options. We have stuff from Virtue with the Vio Ascend. There's the V-Force Grill 2.0. We have the HK Army KLR. But I'm going to go with old reliable, the JT ProFlex. It's the mask I really kind of choose to wear, and also the one in the next section. The ProFlex is so old, it's crazy that it's still one of the more popular masks. I mean, I started wearing the ProFlex in 2002, or at least a version of the ProFlex, and it's the paintball mask that I've worn the majority of the time I've played paintball. The ProFlex is a very simple mask. It doesn't have any of those high-end features or lower end features maybe that the Hostile has. It does not have quick change lenses. It has glued foam, although they did add a magnetic chin strap to some of the more limited edition ones recently. But other than that, just the standard black one come with a regular, clipping chin strap. But that simple design is one of the reasons the ProFlex has remained a favorite. Its simple classic style makes it kind of easy to wear, whereas some of the other masks have like elaborate design and styling. So it just kind of makes that ProFlex have a timeless classic look that a lot of players like. And along the way, that ProFlex has developed a cult following with lots of players collecting masks, they're buying and trading rare parts, and just building a ProFlex that kind of fits their style or the color that they like. That's probably why I wear black. But it's not just style that has kept the ProFlex around. It's been one of the most breathable masks for decades. And I say one of the most breathable because there have been other variations of the ProFlex that have ventilation that's probably just as good. Like there was the Empire, or is the Empire E-Flex. It gets kind of confusing because I feel like they discontinue it and then bring it back all the time. But the Empire E-Flex. And then there's the Pro Shield. The Pro Shield was the predecessor to the ProFlex, and they're essentially the same mask. The Pro Shield just has a hard bottom and then hard ears, where the ProFlex is going to have the rubber bottom and rubber ears. Those rubber ears just kind of make it more flexible, and it's the reason why that ProFlex is so comfortable. Unlike that Hostile, the rubber can just kind of flex and fit around your ears and your head a little bit better, so it can kind of accommodate wider heads or narrower heads. It's just going to fit and be more comfortable on more people. The ProFlex forever has come with thermal lenses. I think forever. They definitely do now. And you can get replacement lenses for those. They're going to come in like a standard clear smoke yellow. And there's also more mirrored options you can choose from. ProFlex lenses are pretty cheap when compared to other masks. They're going to start at only $33, which is kind of crazy because they were $24 3 years ago. Inflation. But that's still good. 33 is still going to be cheaper than a lot of the other lenses out there. Paired with that thermal lens and all of those ventilation holes on the bottom of the ProFlex, it's probably the hardest mask to fog. It's able to just exchange that hot air really quickly, making you cooler and making the mask less fog prone. Or less likely to fog, more fog resistant. It's not fog proof, but you know. Breathability and comfort are top notch on the ProFlex, but it's really not the easiest mask to use. I mean, changing those lenses, you have to pry the lens out of that goggle frame. You can't remove that foam to clean it or replace easily. And a lot of the other masks in this price, or things cheaper even, like that Hostile, have many of those features. That's why JT made the ProFlex X. It is a quick change lens system, still has that spectacular ventilation, but that new goggle frame is not nearly as comfortable. It's just much larger. Just look at that thick bad boy. No one liked it. It's weird looking. So that normal traditional ProFlex is still spectacular. It's going to come with amazing ventilation, extremely comfortable. It has those thermal lenses, but it's missing a few of those high-end features. They're not really required. That ventilation, that lens, and the comfort are still the most popular. Not popular, important. And when it comes to picking a high-end mask, the choice can get a little bit murky because there are so many good options. We have the Dye i5, we have the Bunker King CMD or Command, the Push Unite, and the HK Army SLR are all great options. But only one has the features, ventilation, and comfort that I want. The Carbon Zero. The Zero has quick change foam, quick change lenses, a magnetic chin strap, this cool like storm foam fan kit. Surprisingly, really though, many of the features of the Hostile, it's just made much, much, much better. I feel like when Carbon tried to make a mask, they really looked at all of the best features of every mask and just crammed them all into the Zero. When it comes to ventilation, there is no other high-end mask on the market you can breathe easier in. It's just so much more open and has such better ventilation than a lot of the other high-end masks. And it's really something I don't understand about some of these masks, why they don't prioritize ventilation. You know, I don't really care if I look cool or it's cheap or whatever, I really need to breathe. It's also quite a bit lighter. That Zero actually comes in 2 sizes. It comes in a less coverage and a more coverage. The less coverage is probably about standard mask size, and it's what most players are going for. That more coverage is about 1.5 inches, maybe 3/4 of an inch longer, kind of all around the bottom, just adding a little bit more protection. That less coverage mask weighs in at 308 grams, or almost 11 ounces. The only other mask close in that weight is going to be the Dye i4 or that HK Army KLR, but those masks are so much smaller, and every time I put one of those things on, I just kind of feel like I'm trapped. Most of the other high-end masks weigh in at about 350 to 400 grams, which, you know, is not heavy at all. But I really do feel like that lightness kind of aids in the comfort of the Zero Pro. Having it weigh less just feels like you got less on your head. If you want to see all the mask weights and stuff, I'm going to put a link in the description. I have this cool chart like this chart right there on screen that's got a bunch of information. Look in the description. Along with those sizes, there are two different kind of color options you can get for the Zero as well. There's the SLD and the Pro. That SLD is going to be the solid colors, and the Pro is actually all the transparent one. The Pro one is about $20 more, but you are going to get two lenses with that Pro version. Other than that, the same thing, just different colors. And for my money, that Zero has the best lens system in paintball. They're all thermal, and they're very easy to remove. You just kind of rotate the goggle strap clip and the lens just kind of comes out the front. But by no means is it the only mask with quick change lenses. I mean, really everything in this high-end category is going to have that. The i5, CMD, EVS, SLR, they all have quick change lenses. But something about these lens systems just feels so good. They're made well. It's really solid. I like it. There's a lot of lens options. You know, I use the clear one most of the time, but that's because I shove a camera literally in my mask, and it just kind of works better with that clear lens. But there are all different kinds of options. You're going to get a low light option, a mid light, and a high light for like the middle of the day. So depending on, you know, where you're at in the time of the year or your latitude, you can kind of pick out which lens works best. And much like that ProFlex, the Zero is extremely flexible. So all over that bottom, the ears, all soft rubber. And it just aids in that comfort, right? Compared to the Hostile, having these masks mold and stretch a little bit around your face is going to make them more comfortable. Masks like the i5 or the EVS, they're a little bit more stiffer and I think less comfortable because of it. You're also getting that really nice case when you buy that Zero as well. It just keeps the thing a little bit nicer, and you don't have to buy one, whereas like the other masks kind of just come in a cardboard box. So coming with a case, it's really cool. So those are the best paintball masks, well, at least what I think. And everyone else is wrong, and I'm definitely right, no matter what. I don't even care what anyone else says. And those are the best paintball masks.